On today's episode, I talk with Raph McGowan, who is the most incredible person because, I'm going to say this, because what he's done in designing this incredible product called Bakslap, he's not only addressing a need for us to apply sunscreen without getting our hands greasy, but he's taken the time and the effort to thoroughly and completely research every element of this business. So not just what the product is going to do, but how to package it, how do people use it, how will the shop sell it? Every single thing. Raph, it's amazing.
It's been quite a journey.
Yeah, I'm so impressed. And this is like a lesson in designing a product and selling a product and doing the very best that you can to make that product successful. Raph, how can people find out more about you?
They can go to bakslap.com, B-A-K-S-L-A-P.
It's incredible. Stay right through to the end. It's an amazing story. I'm Robin Cook. This is Stories from the Red Couch. I know you'll love it. How long has it been from coming up with the idea for the Bakslap to now when the products are on the shelf, aren't they?
5 years, the idea came to me, and the last 2 years full-time.
Full-time?
Full-time, 2 years, yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. And it's incredible because now you've got it out there. Does anyone consider that your job is now done? Do people ask that?
I only had that last week. Someone said, Raph, I saw that Bakslap's in a couple of stores, so how do you spend your day? And I had no answer for the first couple of minutes. I'm like, I need to think about this. There's plenty to do. Yeah. It's really just the beginning.
It is just the beginning, isn't it? So it's an amazing product. I'm really curious around the design of it. I love it. And I sat there for a little while struggling to open it. And
Which I noticed.
Yeah, I could see you looking at it. But it's just such an elegant design.
It was a bit of a process to get there. It would have been a good 12 months that we spent coming up with something that started with a toilet paper roll and a bit of T-shirt.
Okay.
And then we went to, in total, 9 different prototypes. And during that, some were 3D printed, some we'd make in Play-Doh, and it's certainly changed.
Yeah.
The purpose of it stayed the same in that it wanted to be able to reach your back as well as not use your hands. But it was through working with companies based here on the Sunshine Coast and asking a lot of questions and then going out and putting it into people's hands to get to the design that we've got right now. So
from a startup perspective, how did you support yourself for 2 years while you worked on this full time? Because obviously you weren't selling them.
No. So for the first 6 months, or if I go back to, I was in Sydney, and before moving back to the Sunshine Coast at the beginning of 2017, there was a nice little house deposit that was sitting there. And when I decided that I'm going to spend full time and commit myself to building a brand and the products, it was an easy decision to use that to kickstart this off. So for the first 6 to 8 months, it really kept me going. And then I realised, hey, it's going to run out.
Yeah.
And I also wanted the support of others, so
you brought other people in?
Brought other people in.
That's fantastic. So I can see from your recent history and your background and all the things that you've been doing, just an incredible determination and drive to put everything you've got into everything that you do. Tell me about some of the things that you've done where it's been completely outside of your comfort zone.
Travelling for 5 years when I left Australia when I was 20 was the beginning. That really gave me the confidence.
Yes.
Once I'd finished university, I decided to cycle across the USA. I'd never ridden a bike other than that as a kid, doing a few jumps on a BMX. So I trained for 4 months, learned how to ride a bike, the equipment that was needed, and joined 2 friends and we cycled across. From moving to Sydney, taking a corporate job for the first time, all the experiences which I hadn't done before, but there's just that thirst to learn something new and to challenge myself.
So you've been able to bring all of that experience into doing something like this because you've, in terms of the manufacturing of this, what have you had to go through to just have it in our hands?
So those past experiences really gave me the confidence, and that's what made the decision to leave Sydney, come up to the Sunshine Coast and work on this full time. It made it quite easy because I proved to myself that you can have an idea and you can follow through with it. And manufacturing was just one of the many tasks which I didn't know anything about, but I wanted to. And I remember sitting down going, okay, where do I start? Oh, I need a product design. Okay, let's start with that.
Wow. And I mean, it's not just the product, is it? Because that's just one element, and there's all of the design that has to go into that. But you've got things like packaging and wording and marketing and...
all that. Some of those I'd had some experience in the past, but again, I needed something to kickstart the idea behind the brand and the messaging ultimately that we're wanting to deliver. And I thought, okay, a good product is a way to start.
Yeah.
And then throughout that process, I would learn, okay, you might need to know about intellectual property. Then it comes time to packaging design. And in my head, okay, I'd spend a month on that. Everything seems to be 4, 5, 6 months, and lots of back and forth, and it involves lots of different people. And really that's been the highlight to me.
When we're talking about those people that have supported you along the way, is that something that you've found on the Sunshine Coast?
Yeah, very much so. Very much so.
That's
I've wanted
fantastic.
to always work with people face to face, especially learning something like bringing a product to market for the first time, and to have that relationships here with people that you can speak face to face and get their input, and also the amount of events we can go to. It's all about asking questions, and I've always been one not to keep the ideas to myself, but share it, get people's feedback, and really what we've created at the moment, and to be able to get to this point, it's a combination of so many different people.
For sure, and I guess that everyone bringing their expertise in is going to really lift it to where it is now. How have you gone about distribution and getting it onto those shelves?
It's a lot of learning. So I had the plan in the beginning that I always wanted to be able to sell the product through the website. So then we're doing that. I then wanted to get it available on shelves, and really starting here on the Sunshine Coast.
So how do you do that? Do you knock on the door? Do you write them an email? Do you ring them up? How do you actually do it?
I speak to a lot of people who are already retailers themselves.
Okay.
And in that first 6 months before the product was available, I would go into them and say, I've got a product that I'm almost ready. How would someone come in and approach you about getting a product stocked? So overcoming any sort of fear of you have no product, or they might say, no, it doesn't interest us, just go and ask them. So
I love
straight
that.
to the source.
Yeah, so that's what I love. I love it, and I've had the experience myself. When you bring that level of honesty to a conversation where you say, I don't know how to do this, but I'm really keen to do it.
And that's had to be my approach throughout the last 2 years, is that I know what I know and I know what I don't know. Go and ask people that know it.
I guess that people are more inclined to help when you bring that humility and a thirst for learning, because people generally are very eager to help, aren't they?
Yeah, that's what I found.
Yeah.
Just be open and honest.
Yeah, from all levels. I mean, where have you got most of the support from?
Not one particular place.
Okay.
It would really be whether it's where I work during the day as an office, whether it's networking, events on the coast, reaching out to a lot of friends and former colleagues that I've worked with, and then ask them to, if they can't help me, can they provide introductions to someone that can?
That's fantastic. How did you come up with the whole design itself? I mean, what was it that was motivating to you? Because it's just so nice.
So the idea came about once melanoma and being more conscious of the sun when you're outdoors. What I noticed is that people kept getting burn on their back.
Yes.
And so I'd start asking those people when I was living down in Sydney, why'd you get burned? And I can't reach. Or I could almost sit and watch people arrive at the beach or arrive at an outdoor activity with their shirt off, not being able to reach.
That's fantastic.
And
so
then
just
through
that
asking
level
those
of
questions,
observation.
they said, well, sometimes we don't want it on our hands.
Yes.
So we might not use it. So the idea was to solve those two problems. And it just was a bit of a process, but an enjoyable process to get to this design.
Tell me about, because it's plastic, yeah?
Yes.
And we don't want people to throw plastic away.
No.
But plastic has got so many amazing advantages So tell me about this. You hold it and tell me about
Certainly.
it.
So it was a local company called Guzu, and they had 2 industrial designers, and they really worked with me over a good 6 months to go through the prototypes and to help with the design. So they said, let's use polypropylene. It's a hard plastic. It'll be protected from the outdoors. It won't fade. But even the design, such as putting this honeycomb in, because we wanted to make it as lightweight as possible.
Sure.
So if people were to travel with it,
Yes.
which is what ultimately we're wanting people to do.
Because that's definitely one of the barriers, isn't it? I mean, you can
is.
make any number of products, but at the end of the day, it's really about people wanting to use it. And that's what you're after, isn't it?
And that came with a clipboard and a bit of paper and going up to people on the street, Mooloolaba, going for a walk saying, here's an idea about our product, what would you want it to do? And they were like, it needs to be lightweight, needs to be portable, needs to stay as one unit so nothing can become detached. And it was really just combining the feedback that we'd have at each stage into this product.
Yeah, that's fabulous, isn't it? Tell me about the applicator.
So the applicator itself is that there's Velcro which is attached to this, and by putting the sponge on there, it means that people can put their lotion, and then when this has had its day, it can be removed, but it means people can hang on to the applicator itself.
Sure. Is it something that could be washed? Could you wash it?
You can wash it.
Yeah.
That was the idea.
Yeah.
You can get multiple uses.
Okay, that's great. What are your plans now?
Now that the product's available, I don't need to do anything, I just sit back.
That's not true at all. You really just have to keep marketing it, don't you?
I'm almost not limited by any way. There's Amazon in the US, which we'll be launching on in a couple of weeks. It's speaking with a distributor now that we got on board last week in Australia, as well as a big part that I enjoy is creating content and being able to then share that online through the social channels. Even the process of coming up with that content and the people that you're involving in it, it's something which I certainly enjoy. So there's no boundaries really.
And it's something that could be used everywhere, really, wherever there's sun. And is it the case where, I mean, we in Australia, we know that we need to use sunscreen and we need to protect ourselves from the sun. Is that something that is just as big in somewhere like the US? In their sunnier, they're just as aware of that?
Early research showed that it is a product which, yes, it can be used in Australia and it's very relevant, but the awareness around the sun, protecting yourself when you are outdoors, is something we found that's all throughout Europe, Central America, South America.
Oh, that's brilliant, isn't it? Any competitors?
There's always competitors, and to me that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because it shows that there is a market for it.
Yes.
And one of the ways I went about coming up with this design was to purchase anything that existed, use it myself. What was good, what was a pain point, let's improve on it. So that was my idea.
That's fantastic. You were saying before about writing a book. So what's the story with that? Tell me. I'm so fascinated by book writers.
Well, it was something which I kept a journal, quite a detailed journal from 70 days when we cycled across the US in 2011. And every now and then over the last few years, I flick back, I've read a couple of pages, and I like what I've written, and I believe there's a lot of messages in there for anyone. And probably about a month ago, I decided, you know what, let's turn this into a book. So that will become the beginning of a book, and I'm asking people such as yourself what's involved in the process, and just to understand what I have ahead of me, but I love doing something new, something challenging.
Fabulous. Thanks, Raph. Thanks for joining me. My guest today was Raph McGowan. How can people find you? They will want to know about this. How will they know about it?
The easiest way to find me would to go to the website. So it's bakslap.com, and it's BAKSLAP.com.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.
I hear that a lot.
Well, you just keep it closed. You just don't open it and it's already a scratcher. There you go. Yeah.
The original design had a hand, and when I sent that around, people were like, that's just creepy. So I got canned.